All right, let's do it. The big story of the day, Justin Fields had a press conference where he seemingly called out his coaches and then quickly
seemingly,
retracted
you're being
it.
nice.
Yes, I am.
He called out his
seemingly
coaches.
retracted. Here he is.
I wasn't necessarily playing my game. Felt like I was kind of robotic and not playing like myself. My goal this week is just to say F it and just go out there and play football how I know how to play football.
When you say thinking less, what do you think was causing you to think so much, maybe think too much?
Could be coaching. They're doing their job when they're giving me what to look at and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I can't be thinking about that when the game comes. I prepare myself throughout the week, and then when the game comes, it's time to play free at that point. So, just thinking less and, playing more.
All right, Rob. So, Rob G, an hour, a little bit later, just 2 hours later, you want to read some of the tweets that he from the reporters where it was, we got sound. Here we go.
I love you guys, but I get that you guys' jobs are to get clicks. So it's like when you take my quote out of context and when you just say that, if you paint the picture on the inside out, like y'all are trying to split us up as a team.
He did say coaching. That was the first word out of his mouth. When you're asked why.
Chris, we've been in this business way, way too long. People say stuff all the time. When they get pushed back, they run and blame the reporters. You're trying to split up our team. Not in contact. No, the sound. Chris, it's not a quote where you took a piece of a quote. We heard the sound. This is his sound. I just don't even understand why this happens so often. Somebody inside the building or PR people got to him and said, I can't believe you said that. Oh, my God, the coaches are upset. Oh, you need to clean this up. Chris, that's what happened.
Yeah, I've seen instances, and I'm sure you have too, and I'm not saying this is definitely the case. I don't know. This is kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt if you want to take this theory. But, Rob, I've seen players, young players, and even coaches, like first-time coaches, who don't know how stuff is going to play, right? Like they say something, they're not really used to dealing with the media. Now, he may not fall in that category because he's in his third year, and he played at Ohio State, so I get all that. But, I've seen guys, Rob, who, they're talking to the media, and they're almost being too open, too honest, and they say something not thinking it's going to turn into this huge avalanche of controversy. And when it does, they're stunned. They're shocked. And that may be what you have happening here. Or, as you said, maybe somebody got to him in their PR department. I mean, obviously they did come at him like, hey, have you been seeing what's out there on Twitter or something like that? Bottom line is this, and there is a notion out there, Rob, that when the coaches send in the plays, they are sending in the play, and then they're saying, and watch out for the high safety or whatever it might be. And Greg Jennings, who's going to join us at the bottom of the hour, he was on First Things First with us today, and he said that happened with Teddy Bridgewater in Minnesota when North Turner was the OC. And it messed Bridgewater up because, they're giving you these extra instructions. He said maybe that's what Justin Fields is referring to, where he's saying, okay, I get the play, but then I'm also like this extra thing I'm looking for, and that's causing me to think too much. That may be true. It may not be true. But what is true, Rob, is he's not playing well. And he's got 10 sacks this year. He's got a ton of sacks throughout his career. I heard somewhere earlier 99 sacks in, I think, 27 games, something like that. But he's got 10 sacks this year in 2 games. And a lot of those are on him. He's holding the ball too long. He's not hitting open receivers. I mean, throwing it even to them when they're open. And he's got a lot of work to do. This is his second year with the head coach, second year with this offensive coordinator. And so there really shouldn't, I get it, they don't have the best team. But he's not really showing us anything at this point. And rather than put out there about the coaching, you have to own it. And if you got issues with the coaches, like if what I threw out there might be true, you got to go talk with your coaches about that and tell them it never benefits you when you put it out there in the media like that, Rob, because it does sound like you're making excuses.
Right. And I just have an issue. I've been around too long, and I've seen this over and over and over again. And you're right. The way it plays, you say something, and then you run back and say like you said, oh, you guys are trying to get clicks. Dude, this is what you said. Nobody made up the quote. That's what I don't know how else you interpret that there's some coaching that doesn't work for you. That's all. And if you wanted to be clear on it, then you could have been more clear. I don't know what follow-up questions followed that, and could they ask them specifically what it is, Chris? But that's what he said. And, I think for a third year, saying like he doesn't know how the media works or whatever, I think that's a cop-out on him. He's in Chicago. They cover the Bears. They have a bad team. You go out there, and unless you're talking about owning it on yourself, Chris, whenever you talk about somebody else,
right,
you're going to have a reaction. I don't understand that unless you're going to put it on yourself. When you bring up other people, even not by name, if you were to go out there and say, hey, if you were Jordan Love and you say, you know what, hey, I know how Aaron Rodgers feels. You could throw 3 touchdowns and still not win a game. What am I right?
Right. You're catching heat. You're
going to catch heat.
Yep.
You're telling them that the defense stinks. That's what you would, without saying it, that's what you would be saying. So I just, my pushback would be this whole notion that, everything is for clicks and I know you guys need clicks for your job or whatever. Dude.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, it was unsolicited.
That's what I'm saying, Chris.
Sometimes, a reporter might ask you about the coach, and it leads, and it's still on you to say it.
You could say
but,
no,
they
not,
could
or
lead you into that, or is there anything with the coaching? Like if they had said, well, is it the coaching, and he had said, well, there's some of that. I mean, that still would have caught flack, but at least they asked you. This was unsolicited.
He could have said there's some of that, Chris, but it still comes down to me doing the right things. You know what? Like, that's all he has to say. Yeah, a little of that, but it's still on me and what I'm doing. That's all.
Yeah, and I think, Rob, too, remember, obviously, Justin Fields was a huge superstar in college, and we've seen this a lot with some of these Ohio State quarterbacks, just about all of them, to be honest. And it's when you struggle like this, and now this is 3 years of struggling. I know he ran the football tremendously last year, but he hasn't thrown it very well. Last year he did improve in that category, but still not great. It can be shell shocking to these guys, right? And a lot of them go through it, right? Because most of these guys were stars at the lower level. And now they come into the league and they're mediocre or bad or whatever. And it's tough. And I feel like he's probably going through some of that too.
Yeah, but usually star players go to bad teams. That's how the draft works. So you got to work your way through it. And you always have to just remember that it's about you and working through anything that you have personal or with coaches, other players should be told to them. It's just that simple. I mean, I'm in the business. Is it great for us, Chris? It's absolutely fantastic for us. But if I was coaching these guys or somebody, keep that stuff to yourself.
Yeah.
That's all. Just keep it to yourself because that's how it's going to hit the paper or the airwaves or the radio or whatever. And people are going to look at you as passing the buck to somebody else and saying they're not doing their job.
And,
Simple.
even when now – assuming they've been told, they have the Players Association, I know, gives them advice. I'm sure the team's media department gives them some advice. But even being told that, Rob, if you're really facing failure, you're looking at it in the face. Sometimes a guy's instinct is still, even though he's been told, his instinct is to pass the buck. To put it on somebody else. And so it's just not a good look. And at the end of the day, he's not playing good football. That's what it boils down to, Rob. And his future is in the balance. I don't want to paint it like he's about to be out the league, but, you know, his future as a starter, you know, what he ends up becoming in this league, all of that is in the balance. This is your third year, and this is where they're looking for you to show some improvement. They went out and got some players to try to help him out. They still don't have a great team, but he's not delivering, and bottom line is he's going to have to look in the mirror and just start to play better, Rob.